What's news, Artifam? This is Artifact News coming to you with episode number 21, Cryptokicks Genesis update. And what an update this was, am I right? Honestly, I was not even expecting major news on the Cryptokicks Genesis for quite some time. Which I probably should have been because it was listed on the website as upcoming events. I've heard some team members even kind of hinting around that maybe something was going to be coming, some kind of information. And also, we saw like on Instagram, CleggFX looked like he was working on a 3D model for the Cryptokicks Genesis. So with all of that, it should have been kind of clear that something was coming, but still, I had just no idea the type of information that we've received. Like that we're actually probably nearing a forging date. I mean, I don't know. They didn't say anything about how far out we are. But there were mentions that they have a final product completed already. So we might be closer than we've, can actually imagine at this point. Like, I guess we'll get more updates in probably pretty soon, I would think, but I don't know. And, in this video, we're going to get into all of the information that came out there, some of the community speculation around that information, and then I'm going to speculate also on just like where I think that's all going. But, that still really shocked me. And I think part of the reason why it shocked me so bad is because I really didn't think that we were going to be seeing these things. For no joke, I was thinking like 2 years. Like if it was even possible. Because being able to put flexible OLED displays on the shoes and then be able to basically customize how the shoe looks, maybe through an app or something that would Bluetooth to your sneakers, and then you could control what is on the sneaker. Just put a touch of a button with real life displays. That seemed like such an ambitious project to try to accomplish. Just like from the batteries alone, the batteries, obviously the displays too, and being able to flex without breaking. That seems like a pretty tall order. But you can't really blame the community for thinking that was possibly going to be in the works, because if you watch the promotional video, the original one, it does say flexible displays, OLED displays on these shoes. And also, there were some other schematics that also pointed that too. So I think the community was expecting that. And so, where does that leave us now? I mean, we don't even know. We don't know where this is going to go and exactly what that final product's going to look like, right? So it's a little too early to either get too disappointed or get too hype or anything, because we don't have all of the information just yet. But, in this video, we're definitely going to take a look at all of the information that we do have about that, and then just try to speculate from there. And also in this video, we're going to get into a creator spotlight for Ali, who once again just dropped such an amazing piece of content for the clone community. We're going to get more into it, and actually we're probably not going to watch the whole video because I want you to watch that over on Ali's YouTube channel, but we're going to go over some of the highlights for it and just give him some props, because that was a major effort and really kind of brought the community together through this rough bear market, right? Which we're still in. This bear market is no joke, right? There's no telling when we're coming out of it either. I mean, it could be probably going to be semi-correlated to the Bitcoin halving, and also in the US anyway, we got presidential elections coming up in 2024, so there's probably going to be a lot of changes 2024, mid 2024, but that's still, quite a ways away. So anything that we can get in terms of hope or bringing the community together is just really priceless at this point. And, Ali's definitely helping to do that. So is the team by announcing things like the Cryptokick Genesis, right? Like those kinds of things help keep us all motivated and pumped up to want to produce more content or just want to dream and get fired up, because we all know the type of potential that Artifact has and the NFT community. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about in this kind of intro right here is, can hype kill a project? And I've been seeing this all over the place. And honestly, typically it comes from founders, because I think they probably all feel a ton of pressure by the community. They can hear the community with probably a lot of outlandish ideas, I'm probably guilty of that too. But we just have high expectations, or there's things that we would really like to see happen. And, like we all get hype, right? It's a nascent technology. This is the next video games, right? This is like a whole new paradigm right here to get fired up about. So like everyone gets hype. And I've heard a lot of founders say that, hype is like out here killing these projects. And I got to say, I just don't think that's true. Like flat out, I really don't think that's true. And I think, honestly, you can kind of prove it in some way because, let's take a look at some games, right? Legend of Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom. I forgot what that was called. It's Tears of the Kingdom. Legend of Zelda. How much hype did that have coming off of Breath of the Wild? Breath of the Wild, I don't think it won Game of the Year that year. No, I think God of War won that year. But, an unbelievable Legend of Zelda release that all of the Zelda fans were completely fired up about. So, Tears of the Kingdom had all kinds of hype. And, we're talking 20 million units sold for Tears of the Kingdom. So let's just say that there's 20 million fans. That's probably undershooting it also, because you got to imagine in each household there's probably multiple people that are playing that game, and they're only purchasing one game. So you got 20 million households basically that own that game. How many? So all of them completely fired up for the sequel, right? So a ton of hype. Well, hype kills projects. Nope. Everybody liked Tears of the Kingdom more than they liked Breath of the Wild. So, what about God of War? Ragnarok. God of War, I believe, won Game of the Year when it was up against Breath of the Wild. So, God of War, completely killing it. One of the craziest games I've ever played in terms of production value. And I was like, how are they going to outdo that? Well, I'll tell you how they're going to outdo it. They're going to release God of War Ragnarok. That's how they outdid God of War. How much hype? Again, 11 million units sold. Like, we're talking these NFT projects, we're talking 10,000, 20,000, whatever. 11 million fans right here for God of War. And guess what? Everybody liked Ragnarok better than they liked God of War. So if hype's going to kill a project, well, everyone's, going to be having all kinds of expectations for the sequel. And guess what, man? They just overshot it. It's way better than God of War, by the way. Like, the story is way better. In my opinion, anyway. So, what about good old Elden Ring? That one Game of the Year, I believe, in 2023 or 2022. But yeah, it won Game of the Year. And what is that coming off of? All of those insane hits that From Software always deliver, right? But Bloodborne, I believe, was maybe the last game that they came out with, and they're coming off of Bloodborne. And I've heard a lot of people say that Elden Ring is the favorite game that they've ever played. So you better believe that every some software fan, okay, let me get that out, they all were hyped for Elden Ring. Incredibly. What did Elden Ring do? They won Game of the Year. And that's 20 million fans there. And then you got the big dog, Super Mario Odyssey. And you know what's weird? Like every single Super Mario, I swear to God, like the big one, the flagship ones that they release generally with new console releases, those ones are always better than the previous one, in my opinion anyway. Like they're just always better. And they always have hype. You know, it's Super Mario. 24 million people purchased that. And you got to imagine probably 1 or 2 people in the household played it. So let's say there's like 40 million fans out there that are like looking at this game and hyped about this game. Every expectation in the book, right? But like, yeah, Mario Odyssey was like probably the best Mario game that's ever been invented. And it's the latest one. So the hype was there. So at the end of the day, for me, I mean, I think that right there just straight up proves that hype can't kill a project. Because there couldn't have been more hype for any of those IP right there. So, you know, really, it comes down to just managing expectations, releasing some information properly the right way, and then, I mean, in all honesty, it comes down to connecting with the community. Like, do you understand your community? Do you really know what they're looking for? You know, do you know what they're expecting on the latest drop? I'm not going to name any projects here, but I got to tell you, like, I can bet that there's a lot of the projects that had some problems. You can almost rest assured that whatever they dropped, that's totally not what their community was expecting. And so they didn't meet the expectations, and they definitely didn't exceed them. And then it kind of turns out that those communities basically want to then blame the hype, or the founders or whatever. They want to blame the hype when really it was the execution. So I just want to dispel that rumor, so maybe that we can, like, that narrative anyway, so that maybe we can move forward in a better direction. Because if we're trying to, like, determine what is wrong with the NFT industry at the moment, and everybody keeps saying that, well, what's wrong is the hype. No, what's wrong is the execution. So, like, at least if we diagnose it properly, then we can start to make changes in that specific area and start to say, okay, so why does Cory Balrog, the director of God of War, why does he know exactly what the God of War fans are looking for, and then meets those and exceeds those? In an innovative way, by the way, too, because God of War, you got to remember, like, that was coming off of God of War 3. That was a way more isometric type of view. You know, it was like top down, looking down at the characters, just like a whole different kind of view, basically a whole different kind of game. God of War completely iterated. Like, they did something completely different, super innovative, but still nailed it. So, you know, what's going on at these other places with their directors or whatever, that they just understand their communities and then they deliver? Do they have focus groups? Do they have a ton of play testers? Like, do they have the community in on the discussion when they're kind of rolling this stuff out to, like, get a pulse of what it's like to bounce that off of real life community members? You know, like, they might be doing that. I'm sure they're doing that with those IP or something. I mean, either that or they're just all geniuses and they can just, like, they have the crystal ball and they can just predict what everybody wants. I have a feeling it's focus groups and playtesters, but that's the crux of the issue. Show the community that you know the community, and then exceed those expectations. So anyway, we can stop talking about that now at this point. But so yeah, in this episode, we're gonna get into the Crypto Dunk Genesis. Then we're gonna talk about the season forgeables, and I just kind of want to speculate a little bit on what that actually means to the artifact community, and especially if you're a Clone X holder in this whole ecosystem, like what does the season forge have to do with the value prop of being in this ecosystem? Then we're going to take a look at what Allie did on that video, and then we're just going to hit a few other random news points and get out of here. So thank you for joining us for episode number 21. I really appreciate you coming by. Definitely like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let somebody know. I think we're at about 225 viewers or subscribers at this point. So once we get to 500, we can start a community. That's awesome. And then once we get to 1,000, we can start to actually monetize things, which would really help out. So really appreciate you. Let's get it moving. Here we go. Okay, so let's jump in to the Cryptokicks Genesis update. Okay, so obviously this is some of the most landmark news that we've got in a long time here, because that was the first sneaker that we had seen with Artifact and Nike working together. Before that, Artifact had the Fuos, they had the Staples, they even, they had the Crypto Punks. We also saw, at some point there was a BAYC prototype also out there. So we had seen some sneakers before that, but this was the first time that Nike and Artifact were together working on a sneaker, right? So the Crypto Dunk Genesis definitely had some extra hype behind it. So, the first thing that we saw, this was in April 22nd, 2022. This is the Artifact X Nike Dunk Genesis, the first Artifact and Nike Cryptokick NFT sneaker. Imagined for the year 2052, made of flexible screens, galactic exploration outsole and mods, powered by the revolutionary skin vial tech. So that was such a great announcement there, and look how amazing that design is. I mean, gosh, man, I think that's Chris and his team, I believe. I don't want to give credit to whoever. I mean, there could be some people on the Nike team that worked on that too, but whoever worked on that, just, congrats again, because what a great model this is. The silhouette's killer. So then the next thing was on April 22nd again, like, imagine what kind of future you can forge with the Artifact X Nike Dunk Genesis NFT. So there's the forging logo. That was kind of our indication that this was going to be a forgeable item, and that it wasn't just strictly a digital item. And that was a big discernment there. That was, that's a big piece of news. As Artifact usually does. And by the way, is anybody else doing anything as cool as this, where you can actually try on digitally the items? I mean, you can try on Artifact sneakers through Snapchat filters, and you can look at how it looks on foot. And it's not perfect, it can be a little wonky here and there, but like sometimes it like really has that feel like it's on your foot. And I'm sure they're just going to continually tweak it and keep going in the future. It's probably going to be spot on perfect at some point. But it's still unbelievable. I mean, it's one of the cooler examples of AR I've seen out there, and it's here now. So, all right, this was really cool right here, and this was kind of like leading up to this whole thing where it's like, oh, they're talking about the Blade logos, and there's some prototypes, and this is Clegg talking about some old concepts that he stumbled upon before they decided to go with the Blade logo. But it's pretty cool, like getting the background information and seeing some of the industrial design that is here. And man, I'm just really a big fan of Chris's artwork, man. I really am. So it just looks great. So yeah, we saw that. This was something from Cause. I believe it's Cause, or you can follow it at Blockchain Cause. And this was Clegg working on crypto dunks at Nike headquarters with Zapshow. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, you can see there, this was on Instagram, and you can see that Chris Lee is working in a 3D modeling software on the Cryptokicks Genesis right there. And he's referring to a 2D schematic as reference up on the other screen. So if we, gosh, do we have that other one? Yeah, right here. So if we zoom in a little bit to the other screen, we can see some components here to this Crypto Dunk Genesis, right? So in the back, we've got the battery. Obviously, we've got skin vial up front. On the bottom, it says Soul Extender, which that's going to be a big thing that we're probably going to have to talk about here. Is Soul Extender, like, what does that really mean? Like, I could see that just meaning it's an extender in terms of, like, it's chunkier, you know? I've heard somebody call this the chunky dunks. I forgot who that was. I thought that was good. But, like, I like the chunkiness, by the way. But is that what that means? Is it, like, the Soul Extender in terms of it just being, like, more protruding out? Or does extender mean something else entirely? And then on the other, this other note here, I believe it says something about screens. You know, I can't even see that in there enough. Can we zoom in a little bit more? Enhance. Yeah, it's talking about screens again. So, you know, like I talked about in the intro, are these going to have screens on them? Well, let's keep going on some of the news that kind of unfolded here recently, right? So this was the big deal that happened on, I guess it was August 12th at this point. Oh, it was August 11th. So, new forging event ahead. Vial and hammers for NFT owners. Artifact and Nike Dunk Genesis Cryptokick sneaker prototype physical development in progress. Do you want to see more updates? Of course, right? So, wow. This was just a bomb drop right here. 204,000 views. Killing it. All kinds of 403 reposts. Everybody's fired up. And they look really killer. I mean, look at that. Gosh, do we have... Let's see if we can get in closer on that. I think we can. There's the sole. I really love this sole. That design is so good. Really cool. I've heard some community members say that up above the artifact logo kind of looks like a little bit of an egg, maybe. I don't know. It's just really cool. Because so far on the prototype, all we saw was the Nike swoosh logo, but now here we can see that there's an artifact swoosh on the bottom, and you know, I wonder if, like on the other double logos, if the swoosh is on the inside of the shoe as well, or not the swoosh, but the blade. But just killer design, coolest sole that I've ever seen in a shoe. And so here's the prototype, right? Looks like Zap's holding this here, and wow. So what are we taking from this, right? Well, you can see it looks as though the shoe it's not connected to that sole. But what I'm thinking is that sole is just 3D printed It's not a actual like workable sole because it's probably very rigid. But then the team put together using this iridescent type texture or material to put together the rest of that shoe, in a typical way that you would build a shoe. And then you can see that there's the markings on there are indicating different texture sets possibly, or different layers or protrusions on those markings. So different layers basically. And that's where those layers are going to be indicated. That's what those markings to me indicate. Different features at those spots. So, yeah, I mean, gosh, we saw another. Yeah, we saw another one, but we'll get to that in a second. So as you can see right here, if you look at the swoosh, towards the back of the swoosh, it just kind of ends right there. And I wanted to talk about Scott Papada. Papada. I've never really said that. Scott Papada, or S. Papada, PhD, came up with a philosophy here, which is, if you inspect closely, there is an opening or a hole where it appears a battery pack or component of the design is located based on the IG post of CleggFX. So that's a really nice zoom in right there that Scott brought us. And yeah, it is looking like that is where the battery is going to go. So that's great. I mean, that's huge news because that means these things have batteries. And if they have batteries, that means something's lighting up or something's doing something, right? Obviously. Battery's going to power something. So what is that battery going to power? Well, I don't know, but I wanted to talk about something that Johnny brought up. Everybody knows Johnny Kicks here, Johnny X NFT. You can find him at Johnny X _NFT. Johnny was on Instagram and told us basically don't sleep on what's going on Zap's Instagram. So here you can see that Zap is giving some type of a presentation to somebody, and he is showing, I don't know, I guess how the shoe fits into the sole. It's a very interesting picture, though. I guess that one is a little further along right there. Is that? Gosh, let's see if that one is a little further along than that prototype. Yeah, it is. It's definitely further along. You can see some of the steps and layers there. Like the flap that comes up with the on the back quarter where the shoelaces connect. You can see on the Instagram picture that there's a different piece of material there. You can also see in the center of the shoe, basically underneath the swoosh, that there's different material there. So that looks like a little further along in the development cycle there. Okay. But I guess like one of the questions is, why is he showing it detached from the sole? And sole extender, when we saw that in Chris's mock-up, like, I don't know. I don't want to get too crazy on how that could be extending things or what that might mean, but honestly, I think right here, if I had to guess, I think he's just showing us, the work that went into developing the actual shoe right there, and then how that's going to fit into the sole. I think that they're going to be connected. I don't know that there's anything wild that's going to be going on with that sole, other than it's just looking really cool. It's an artifact design sole. It's got great designs on the bottom. It gives it a really chunky, like unique character, which is amazing. And so that's about it. That's all I can really go on at this point. So yeah, what else do we have here? I mean, when I first saw it, I was definitely freaking right out. So I just jumped in here and said, a prototype for, quite possibly, one of the most important pieces in fashion history has emerged. A sneaker with flexible, customizable, updatable screen technology, with a question mark. The new DLC, downloadable couture, is upon us. Watch out, the future is now. During the brutal bear market of 2023, amidst the despair of the NFT community, lightning has struck to reveal a truly legendary piece of technological fashion at Artifact, proving once again they are in a class of their own, exquisite. So I threw that out there. And, questioning whether or not that really was going to be a sneaker with flexible, customizable, updatable screen technology. But yeah, the idea of downloadable couture, I really do like that idea because, I looked up what couture meant. And, we should probably look that up again. But it was basically just like bespoke items, rare items that are made for fashion. That's what I believe it was. So let's just look that up again, man. The design and manufacture of fashionable clothes to a client's specific requirements and measurements. So I really love that because that's exactly what Artifact is doing. And honestly, there's a lot of companies that are claiming to do couture, but like Artifact is one of the leading examples of couture in the world because they literally do make these items to order, right? I mean, which completely limits waste. I believe it was an interview with Talk Too Much and Chris Lee, where Chris Lee, for the first time that I had ever heard it, was saying that like brands like Louis Vuitton, they will make so many of their items, and then if people don't buy those items, they have to burn those items to maintain scarcity. And, they're trying to do what's right for their collectors, right? Because they don't want to put those things on sale or, destroy the brand in any way. So they'll literally try to burn them. But, like, Artifact is doing true couture where you have the NFT, you place the order for it, and then they make that based on that NFT. So they're only making the items that have been ordered. So they're made to order. Bespoke items. That's exactly what that definition of couture was. So if anything, they're definitely doing the couture. But the idea that you can download couture or culture, basically. Downloadable culture also. Because, even if these just turn out to be augmented reality. Well, this is in the future for sure, but like Apple's making the Apple Vision Pro. They're going to release those probably in March of 2024. And that's going to be the first time people are going to have the headsets where they're going to actually be able to look at different augmented reality components in their environment. Clothing is going to be part of that, where people can use a headset to look at people's clothing. Well, I'm sure Apple's already working on a cheaper version of that. And, within 5 years, you're going to be able to get one of those headsets. And you're going to probably demand to have one of those headsets. And clothing is going to be way more streamlined with augmented reality. And, yeah, it is like downloadable culture. Because you can have a pair of shoes and you'll be able to add an augmented reality effect that kind of symbolizes whatever culture that you identify with. You're a gamer? Boom, throw some like Pokemon skin or whatever on your shoes or whatever game you might be into, or if you're a musician, you're going to throw something that's like kind of musical component to it, or whatever it might be. But yeah, that's the new DLC. That's what I wanted to kind of hit on right there with that. So I put this out there, right? And then Zap, he actually responded. And okay, hold on a second here as I find this. And it is right here. So, Sir Snapback, he said, I'm betting the physicals are going to use AR technology over actual screens. As of right now, that would put the price point out of reach for Lost. For most, probably, is what we're saying. That said, these shoes look insanely dope, even without the screens. I said, it is seeming likely to be AR focused on the comment from, based on the comment from Zap. It would definitely be mega expensive with how excellent they are. AR could look nearly identical to real screens, though would need a device for the effect. Can't wait to hear further updates. What does Zap say? No screens on these. No screens on these. That was a big deal. A lot of people reacted to that. And, you know, it was kind of shortly after that we did see the price of the Cryptokicks kind of drop. And I don't know that it's necessarily specifically due to that. But when the prototypes first hit, I don't know what they went from, maybe 0.12, 0.13, up to like 0.21. And then after it kind of became clear that the screens weren't going to be on there, and then it kind of fell back down to 0.14, which is where I believe it is right now. Yes, you can see on the ticker below, it's at 0.148. Seeming to indicate that the community was definitely looking forward to those screens. Now, that doesn't mean all hope is lost or anything like that. You know, I mean, I saw some community members saying that they're glad that it doesn't have the screens on it. You know, because that really could have been kind of a practical nightmare, right? I mean, dude, they could break. There could be a lot of breaking going on. It could really cause a lot of, a lot of returns, or it could cause some damage to people's feed if the brakes are cause any kind of electrified responses or anything. It could have been kind of a weird deal. So there's some people saying, hey, better off as an AR technology, you know, which I guess I can kind of hear that. And for me, honestly, I don't know, like, gosh, do I have it? So I did find this tweet, and this was like a while ago. And this was in response to finding out that CleggFX was working on the Cryptokicks. You know, on that one Instagram post that we saw. And I responded by saying, it is quite conspicuous. One thing is clear. If Artifact ever successfully released the forged Crypto Dunk Genesis with flexible screen tech, they shock the world. It's a tall order, but a profound event if delivered. Maybe they abandon the physical sneaker and go with AR screen tech. The current schematic shows batteries and screens, which seem to indicate the physical IRL screens at the intention. Going to be epic to watch the development unfold. That was on June 30th, not quite a month ago, but a while ago. And I was kind of thinking, maybe they just replace the physical screen idea with the AR tech, which seems like that would make sense. And, there's been some people that have speculated that, like Scott was suggesting, that there's going to be that battery on the back, which is what we've seen in all of the schematics and all of the promotional videos. Maybe that battery is going to power and light up the swoosh. I could see that. There's that swoosh. It's completely lit up right there. It looks like it's going to the battery pack. All signs seem to point to that battery pack lighting up that swoosh. And then the rest of it, as you can see, there's some augmented reality tracker points on there. So maybe this was just kind of what they meant the whole time, is that it was really going to be augmented reality, and that swoosh is going to light up, which would be super sick, man. Hey, I'm down with that, and honestly it makes a lot more sense with like the development of the upgradability of the shoes, because we saw on that video, the original video, that the shoes can be upgraded. So if that's move to earn, and you're moving to earn or something, and then your shoe is upgrading from one level to the next, and it starts adding new, like for the demon shoes, it starts adding new horns or new fire features or something like that in augmented reality. Honestly, that really could be better than the physical screens anyway. Because I would think it would be cooler if we definitely had an upgradable path for the sneakers with augmented reality, and it really worked well, especially like, I really hope it works with the Apple Vision Pro headset. Because, then you could like look down, and as you're walking around your house or whatever, you can see your sneaker start to upgrade with new augmented reality effects. Then it really sets in that gamification of the shoe development. I really like that idea. So I think that has more legs to it than if it was a physical screen. And they may be bogged down with like all these returns, or people like not knowing how to use the screens, or like the screen's breaking or something. And now they might not have to worry about that so much, and they can focus on really honing in on this really great development path for the shoes. So I like that idea. So I'm a bit excited about it, to be honest. So I think that's really about it here. I mean, we covered things from Johnny, from Scott P. We covered from Kaz and Zap. Oh, well, here's one other thing, okay? And this is kind of big, so we're definitely going to have to cover this. Okay. From Nice Kicks. They got a lot of subscribers. So, or a lot of followers. Artifact Nike Dunk Genesis prototype. And then Zap said the finals look with the exhaust, I don't even know what that face is. But basically saying the finals look great. So, that's crazy. You know what that means? I know what that means. That means they have finals in hand. So this might have been a really early prototype. Then that other picture that we saw, maybe it was a further developed prototype. Now they actually have finals. So if they have a final, I mean, because you don't just throw the term final around. I mean, final for me, and I'm not in the production, okay, so, but final for me would suggest that whatever house is manufacturing it within Nike, whoever's either a subcontractor or whoever for them is manufacturing this, already has it dialed in. It's ready to go. It's probably in a box. If it's final, it's in a box. It's wrapped, ready to go. They got the landed costs all ready, established. And all of that's ready to go. So I don't know. I mean, when does that mean that they'll be ready to be forged? If I had to guess, and I'm going to be wrong here, but I just might as well throw a guess out there. We're going to get those CIRLs soon. They said by the end of August. So let's say September, mid-September. Something like that. Late August, mid-September, CIRLs come in. And then maybe right around that same time, we do the forging for the Cryptokick Genesis dunks. And then they probably don't get delivered for 6 to 8 months. Something like that. And everybody might be like, dude, that's way too long. Like, this is not a sustainable system. You know, you can't order something and then get it 6 months later. I think you can. I think you can. And I think if you do the cost benefit of it, of a made to order system where it completely limits waste. And not only that, but then you have the NFT implementation in here, which allows us, the owners of the Clone X's that are getting these NFTs, to basically have a really awesome membership where I don't have to deal with bots anymore. Because I know if you're like into sneakers or if you're into video game consoles, you know how hard it is to compete with bots. Well, yeah, basically with just shot bots. Like, I wanted a PlayStation. Every other year of my life when a console came out, I had it day one. For the PlayStation 5, I don't think I got that thing for a year. Because I didn't want to pay double the retail on it. Because I just refused to do that. I was just kept looking for better deals on it. So, I finally got one. But I had to, you know, it was the battle of the shot bots. If I own a Clone X and I get airdropped these shoes, I can guarantee have access to that shoe. And there's a complete value associated with that. So, yeah, I think it's membership has its privileges, and that's one of the big membership bonuses of owning a Clone X is you don't have to deal with shop bots. And you know what's great about that? You can't compete with shop bots. So, not having to is a big deal. All right. And I think that will conclude this whole thing, except I did want to talk about this warning really quick. And this is kind of an older warning, but just for anybody who's interested in purchasing Cryptokick Genesis and everything, you have to be careful with don't buy or bid on an equipped sneaker. The seller is able to unequip the sneaker after putting it on sale or unequip before accepting a weak bid and scam you. So I'm not even sure that this is the current meta and that problem still exists to this day. It got a little confusing there because like you could see a sneaker, a Crypto Dunk Genesis, and it had an equipped skin vial. And then somebody would be like, oh, I'm going to buy that equipped skin vial. And then they would go to buy it. And then the person would unequip the skin vial. And the buyer would have purchased a shoe thinking they got the skin vial with it. But then they didn't get the skin vial with it because the person pulled the skin vial at the last second. Artifact made it impossible to equip skin vials or unequipped skin vials at some point. I think that negated that issue. But you might want to ask around in Discord or something to make sure that that's not an issue still at this point. So just a little word of warning there. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for the Crypto Dunk Genesis. You know, I'm super fired up. It's going to be a big deal. And yeah, I think we'll probably start forging if they have finals already. I would imagine we're going to start forging probably pretty soon. So let's get excited for that. I'm excited for it. All right, so the next section we're going to jump into is the Season 1 Forge. Let's do that. Okay, so now let's jump into the Season Forgeables. What does that mean over the long term for you as a Clone X holder? Why does that really, really matter to you? What is the subtext or what is behind that? Or what, if we really dig into it, what is the true value of being able to forge those items? Well, before we necessarily get into that, just let's take a quick look at some of the items real quick. You know, this is one of my favorite outfits right here that she has on. You got the Genesis pants, that Genesis hoodie. She's got the Genesis shoes on. Like, that whole outfit that's one of my favorites for sure. But like being able to get these sneakers, this is season 1, by the way. Which I would think, if you're gonna say season 1, that should mean that they're planning on doing more seasons. Right? I mean, you don't say season 1 if it's just a one-off event. Maybe they were just being, optimistic and trying to say, "Oh, there's going to be plenty of seasons. Let's call them seasons." I think you have to do that pretty carefully, though, because it is kind of establishing like some expectations. Because just the word "season" alone kind of denotes that there's more, or there's more, and that they're different iterations of whatever you're talking about when you refer to seasonality. So for them to say that this is season 1, I would think that means that there's going to be at least a season 2. But as you can see, each of the sneakers do have the RFID chip right there. But also the on the other side, a different design. Like on the Genesis, you can see the Clone X, but it's different on each sneaker. But yeah, I mean, we kind of went over all of the sneakers and all of the outfits in previous episodes, but you know, when we're talking about forgeability and what that's bringing to you as a Clone X holder, I mean, let's take the Mirakamis for instance. If you own a Mirakami, you know, there was a lot of people that got into them for a lot of money. I think somebody paid like 1.5 million for one of them at one point. So they're pretty expensive, no doubt, right? But you could get, some people were getting them in at like 30 or 50 or whatever, and they had the chance to mint or to forge 2 pairs of these Murakami DNA sneakers. And, you know, right now they're probably going, I don't even know, maybe 4. I haven't checked them recently, but maybe it's like 4, 5, maybe a little less. But when these things first dropped, I think the Murakami DNA holders were getting around like 8 to 10 for these. 8 to 10 ETH. And that's 2 pairs of sneakers. So like, let's say your best case scenario there, or not even your best case, but let's just say a good case scenario is that you sold both of them for 8 ETH. That's 16 ETH. You know, if you paid 50 ETH, let's say for your Murakami DNA, or what if you just got lucky and just minted one? I mean, and then you're getting something that, you know, there's just a market for it, and the market wants to pay what the market wants to pay, and the market was ready to pay about 8 to 10 ETH for these at one point per pair. So if you own 2 pair and you're getting 8 ETH, 16 ETH, you paid 50 or something, I mean, you're only 34 off from being break even, 34 ETH off. So gosh, what is that going to mean for you in terms of seasonality now? I mean, what if there are 20 seasons? I mean, what does that mean then for you? Like, especially if you have an MKDNA, or if you have an alien or an undead or a reptile or something. Like, what if it goes for 20 seasons, and every season you get to purchase or forge a DNA sneaker? I believe these were, gosh, you know, I wish I knew the exact price right now, but I think it was like around 0.55, if I remember correctly. So if they were 0.55 and then you got to sell them because the market wanted them at 8 ETH, that's a pretty sweet return right there. If that happens for 20 years, I mean, clearly you paid back what probably, whatever you invested, except for the person who bought it for 1.5 million, who knows? But like, you paid back a lot of the initial investment there. But you might have just wanted to collect these things because they're completely sweet looking. And what happens over 20 years? I mean, they just keep getting better and better. Did they change? I mean, I think it would be so smart of Nike and Artifact to just keep this going as long as they can. To just have it stretch out, have it go 20 years. And every year, do a new season. And that's going to push your design team to come up with new concepts. So that's not going to be easy. But what a collection that would be over 20 years. And how hot would those things be as it progresses? Also, that really changes the clone value prop, because what does that do to mkDNAs and aliens and undeads? I mean, basically, what does it do to all clones? If you're guaranteed access to be able to purchase those shoes and those clothes, and you don't have to fight against shop bots, and you're guaranteed to do that, and it goes for 20 years. It really changes the value prop, the underlying value prop of the clones in general. Because what if you're just a straight up collector? This has nothing to do with you wanting to sell this stuff or whatever. I mean, if that's 20 years of you getting these insane Murakami drops or something, or like these alien drops that just each year continue to get more and more alien, or maybe there's going to be some off years and it's like, oh, season 3 alien wasn't that good, but season 7 is the best shoe we've ever seen that's ever existed. And like season 7 is just like some crazy banger that everybody on planet Earth wants. Like if Artifact and Nike open that door to where this season is going to become a thing and it's going to last for a long time, they're going to commit to something to where it's like a 20-year situation. There's other IP out there that are gone for longer than 20 years. World of Warcraft, that's 20 years. I believe Pokemon, I'm not even sure how long Pokemon's been out, but I think it's even longer than 20 years. You have Mario, longer than 20 years. I mean, clones, they could be going for longer than 20 years. If they do, and they commit to these forges, is what I'm saying, it changes the Clone X value prop, certainly. Right now, I think no one's even really examining this too much, or even really thinking about necessarily how this affects owning a clone. Because, despite all of the amazing stuff that Clone X or Artifact and Nike are working on with Clone X, building out a world, building out a new land for them to land in, possibly a video game, some new kind of meta social video game situation, or activations within other IP. I could see something like that, like possibly, the clones being in Fortnite, or being able to be used in Roblox, or maybe showing up in Grand Theft Auto. I don't have no idea. But there's all of those kinds of value props, these straight up digital value props. And then there's this other one, which is the clone is actually a membership pass to be able to purchase these sneakers that are released from Artifact and Nike, the dual logo sneakers, in conjunction with Takashi Murakami, one of the world's most famous contemporary artists, fine artists in the world, who's worked with people like Kanye West, Billie Eilish, Pharrell. I mean, who hasn't he worked with, really? Major players. He's worked with just about everybody. Everybody loves and respects him, and he's a major fine artist. And that's who this is. This whole collection is basically in conjunction with. So that's a really strong value prop. It changes the whole entire game. No one's really talking about it because everyone's confused about NFTs in general. But I think once everybody wraps their brain around it, and it's like, oh, a Clone X is a membership pass. So like I don't have to keep getting beat like I do on sneakers every day, on the sneakers app. If I own a Clone X, that just guarantees me access to these completely sick shoes and clothes. Okay, so that's just layer one of that value prop, okay? And that's like just assuming that they just continually release Air Force Ones and they just continually change the designs slightly every season or whatever. What happens when it goes to the Jordan silhouette? You know? What then? Because if you don't think that, I mean, the Takashi Murakami Jordans, if you don't think those are going to be highly, insanely valuable, like I don't even know you probably aren't watching this if you don't believe that, okay? Because they're going to be valuable. I mean, all of them, really. I mean, the undead Jordans, reptile Jordans, human Jordan. I mean, all of them are going to be sick. I mean, if they do a Jordan silhouette, and that's like season 2 or something, which would make sense because I think the Air Force Ones came out in 1982, and then I think the Jordan silhouette came out in 1985, along with the Dunk silhouette was also in 1985, and then the Air Force, then the Air Max came out in 1987, I believe. So if we're going on timeline stuff and the Air Force Ones came out first, then I think the next one in line is either going to be the Dunk or the Jordan. So, I don't know. You know, I mean, we could see a Converse version too, but like, let's just imagine that the next one they do is a Jordan, and the if you own an MKDNA or whatever, then you get to mint 2 Murakami Jordans. You know, like what if that happens, and that happens like right around on the bull market, and those things are worth 10 ETH again? I mean, how does that all factor in to help us understand what clones are actually worth? Because I don't think everyone's got that nailed down right now, and I don't think we're all even really talking about that. Because I think everyone's like, well, we'll see what happens. Like, I mean, maybe they're not even going to continue it, for more than even 1 or 2 seasons. I mean, do they only do 2 seasons? I think that would be such a shame and just leaving money on the table for everybody. Like Nike owns Artifact. They have this amazing thing going on right here, right now. And if they just keep this going and do new silhouettes, new versions, have some fun with it I don't know if they can do it every year, but they just do it every season or whatever. Maybe that's every 2 years. Maybe it's every year. But keep pushing and using these DNA that we have to, come up with new, amazing designs, basically, with new silhouettes. So, yeah, are they going to only do 1 or 2 seasons, or are they going to keep it going for 20 years? I don't know. But I asked the community. So let's at least take a look at what the community thought there. So this is obviously a really huge thing here, but basically what I asked here is everything I just talked to you about. What happens if this goes to 20 years? Because if it goes to 20 years, or if it only goes for 2 years, that means your membership pass, your clone, that's a totally different value prop. Because it's like having a membership to a country club. Okay. Well, the country club costs a certain amount per year. All right. Well, If you have it for 20 years, that's one value. And if you have it for 2 years, that's a different value. So it's a topic I think is definitely worth everybody talking about. I'm hoping Nike and the people at Artifact are talking about it too and making sure like, hey, how many seasons are we going to do here? Because it's a big deal. The community said less than 3 was the number one pick here, which is 37.7%. Less than 3 years. 3 to 5 years came in at 13%, 5 to 10 years came in at 13%, and then 10 plus years came in at 36.25%. Quickly, I just want to talk about something. Hopefully one of the Artifact team members is listening here, okay? Because I want to be able to ask questions like this, but to our community. Because I can guarantee you that poll right there isn't really even indicative of the actual community. You know, because there's a lot more people that aren't in the CloneX community that are in different projects, competing projects, okay, that can vote on this. And you better believe that a lot of them did vote on less than 3 years because they're trying to weaken the value prop of owning a clone because they would rather people own their PFPs. So it's hard for somebody like me to be able to poll our community necessarily because the tools just aren't available. So like if there was a way that it was a token gated voting system where I could actually ask our community questions and it was token gated for them to answer, that would be great. I would really appreciate that. Maybe I have to do that on my own, which there's about a 3% chance I'm going to have time to do that. But it would be pretty cool. Throwing it out there. Anyway, so given that, I was actually pretty surprised here. Because still, 36.2% of the voting population here, which includes everybody, thought 10 plus years. I mean, that's a lot. If it goes 10 plus years and there's 10 plus seasons, I don't think anybody's really properly valued the clones or, definitely. I mean, aliens are super rare. There was only 60 alien shoes on that last run, and they were selling for a lot of money the whole time. If you're an alien holder and you get 10 more seasons of being able to sell your clones or sell your drip, whatever that might be, that's a really big deal. I think that aliens have to be way higher valued because, I mean, I guess it depends. How much are people going to pay for the drip in the future? I mean, if the alien Jordans come out, I mean, how much do you think people are going to pay for those? I don't really know. I have a feeling it's not going to be less than what they were willing to pay for the Air Force ones. Probably going to be more. But we'll have to see. I mean, if it comes out in the bull market and everyone's got a bunch of money, then, there's a lot of factors out there. I'm just trying to say, given that there's a bunch of really sweet silhouettes to still do, if the rare ones end up on those silhouettes, it's going to be a big deal for those holders. So, yeah, hey, leave a comment in the description on how you think that is going to play out. How many years do you think, or how many seasons do you think they'll go? And, if you have any thoughts on like what you think that means for the value prop and how that all affects the clone holders, how drastically. I think it's a really big deal. So yeah, let's move on from that. That's basically the majority of this entire segment, but some good news. Hey, ship it. DHL, Murakami drip coming in, and the jackets. And I think I have an alien jacket and maybe a little reptile jacket coming. So I'm fired up to see those because and they're a little robot vest too. Got some weird items coming in. I can't wait to see how these things look. And I'm behind on the drip drop reviews. I still have like the drip that I wanted to review and a Ramoa bag. So I'm hoping to get to that soon here. All right, so yeah, that's coming in this week. Also, we got a sneak peek at the AF1 box. It's looking really nice. AR enabled. You can see here. Give it an old tap on the side, and I don't know. Does the tap on the side actually change it? I wonder if the box is interactive. Augmented reality in an interactive way, or if they were just doing that, based on their timing. So yeah, really cool box anyway. Sweet. Also, we saw this strap, which was a pretty curious thing to see here. There was speculation that that black cloth is basically what the sneakers come in, and then you just have this strap around it, which is cool. So I think it's a pretty cool little collector piece, but we never really got full disclosure on what that actually represents. And then from Hansan, this was the first delivery that I saw of the Murakami drip. It's looking wild, man. I really love that hoodie. The hoodie's looking fantastic. But yeah, this is all really great stuff here. It's going to be exciting to get all that drip in. So yeah, this is just something I wanted to talk about because I don't think it's necessarily at the forefront here of the discussion. And I think the Season 1 Forge really does have a strong influence on the value prop of this entire ecosystem. And which is really interesting because that's just a small piece of the true value prop of owning a clone. Like it is a big deal. But also, I mean, there's just this entire digital aspect that is, like an infinite potential. But then there's also just this like more finite physical aspect, and how long is that going to last? That's a big deal. So, all right, that's the second segment here, the Season 1 Forge. So now we're going to get into a little creator spotlight. All right, and now we're going to get on to the creator spotlight for this episode. And in this episode, we're going to feature, once again, Aalasady, or Ali. And also, DreMill. Aalasady's on the directing, on the animating, and on putting together the video. And then DreMill's on the vocals. And, together, they really just killed it, to be honest. Like, this is one of the coolest things that I've seen in NFTs or video games. Like, I've never seen a video game community do anything like this. Yeah, I don't know. They just really tore it up together. And this production just came at the right time too, because like we're in the bear market. Everything's really rough out here. But this entire video is like meant for our community, and it's about uniting together, and it highlights each one of the DNA and a lot of members in the community that reached out to Ellie. And yeah, I don't know, it is just really an epic piece of work, and it is 5 minutes long. We're only going to show a little preview here, about 45 seconds worth. And then I really encourage you to check out the whole video because it's crazy all the way through. But go to Ali's YouTube channel. It's Aalasady at YouTube. You can watch it there on your TV in full glory and check the whole thing. So without further ado, let's just jump in here and check it out. But before we do, I want to say like what a nice touch this was, because I wasn't even sure if I was going to get in the video. Like Ali put out basically a casting call and said like, if you wanted to be part of the video, reach out And I was, I reached out and said why I thought it would be cool to be part of the video. And then Compound came in and said, yo, yeah, you should definitely include him. And then Ali was like, yeah, I agree. So thank you for that, Compound. And yeah, it was just really cool how that all came together. But then what a nice touch. Like, this is how Ali kind of operates, is like going above and beyond and doing things like really thoughtfully. But like, to send this Polaroid, what a cool way to find out that I was actually going to be in the video. Like, super special. Completely appreciate it. I mean, next level stuff. So yeah, I really appreciate you for doing that, Ali. But like, let's jump into the video real quick and check it out. So this is the first 45 seconds. And Artifact News first feature appearance here in a clone production. So I'm going to get off here for a second. And here we go.
In a world of endless curiosity and innovation, we break expectations to unveil our true selves. With relentless passion, we sculpt our own destiny. Engineered by a mysterious scientist, endowing them with an extraordinary hive mind that unites their consciousness.
Wow. How cool is that? Like, the detail involved in all of that. And Ali was saying it took one person 15 days to put that together. You only saw 45 seconds of it, but trust me, the rest of it is even crazier. But even that bar scene where you got all of the clones around that bar and all the details that are going into it, it really kind of paints the picture for what we could see from a social gaming aspect. How we could see the clones, just being able to hang out in an area with each other and in between matches or whatever, just kind of almost like a 3D community space, like a 3D Twitter or X or 3D Discord or something like that, where you're just representing as your clone, being able to change the clothing in inventory and then hang out in a bar type area, bartifact, bartifact. But like that's kind of some of the thoughts that come along with these awesome productions, is just stretching our minds to see beyond what we can see right now into a better future. So, and not only that, but Ali specifically, that video really is about uniting and kind of coming together, which is something that I think everybody kind of needs right now, is to unite and come together as a community and become even stronger. So the message was, read loud and clear, and it was delivered in such an incredibly epic way. And Dre just crushed the vocals, man. I don't know who did that writing either, but Dre delivered that vocal performance. And if he wrote that, he's a straight up poet. Like, whoever wrote that. And if it was Dre, hats off. But they also, both Ali and Dre, did a space with Artifact creators where they discussed the video. So, if you follow Artifact creators, you can go and you can listen to that video. Listen to that spaces and get some more behind the scenes on that video. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But I just wanted to say thank you to Ali and Dre for bringing us together as a community with such an epic production. And, definitely thank you for including me in it. I'm very proud of that. So, yeah, hats off. Well done. All right. So now we're going to go on to our final segment here, where we're just going to discuss some other news from around the ecosystem and just kind of wrap things up. So here we go. Okay, so before we wrap episode number 21, there was a few other things I wanted to talk about around the ecosystem, and one of them was the Artifact Radio. So this is just something, just in case you haven't heard about this yet, Artifact created a SoundCloud account to display all of the original soundtracks created by the amazing Jam Pants, otherwise known as Jim Guthrie at Jam Pants. He is responsible for creating all of the soundtracks for everything that's related to Artifact, which is really epic because it all has kind of the same feel to it, and it really has like created this whole identity for the brand, this musical identity for the brand. And Jam Pants, I don't know if you ever played his game Sword and Sorcery. I played it on the iPad. It's an incredible game, and it's just got beautiful music. So I was super happy when I found out that they were going to be working with Jim on all of the soundtracks for Artifact. It's like, honestly, really couldn't have asked for anybody better than that. So anyway, Artifact Radio, check it out, man. And subscribe to Jim Guthrie if you get a chance. Also, hey, let's take a look at the Cryptokick Genesis video really quick. I just wanted to make sure that we just take a little bit of a look at this. That's pretty crazy. So there you can see there's the battery right there on the back. You can see the swoosh lighting up. But then there's that skin vial thing on the tongue, which I would think we're probably going to see that on there, but there's no chance, right, that there's going to be any kind of skin vial inclusion. I can't imagine that they're going to sell skin vials, real physical ones that you put in there and it changes something. That would be absolutely incredible. I don't see it happening. I do see the swoosh lighting up. I do see skin vials changing, how your shoe looks in augmented reality, right? I do see that. All that stuff makes sense. I don't know how they're going to incorporate skin vials on the physical. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's just a picture of one or something on there. Or maybe that piece doesn't even make the final cut. Maybe just the back piece with the battery does. So I thought that was just something that would be cool to kind of take a look at. And let's just have just one other thing here. And gosh, probably can't even see this, but in the original video for Clone X, there was, gosh, I don't think it's even on here. It might be. Yeah, there was a video. Oh, there it is. So anyway, how crazy is that, right? We all remember it way back in the day, early on. That music still haunts me. I love it. But I had a question about it. And the question is, we saw three words: birth, immortality, and evolution. And I'm bringing it up again because we don't really talk about it too much anymore, and it's kind of an older topic, but it still seems pretty pertinent to what understanding what it means to own a clone. So birth, we understand they were minted, right, out of the clone mint vials. We get that. Immortality, that's probably in reference to the immortal nature of the blockchain technology. So that makes sense. But evolution. Now, is this strictly meant to talk about the shoes? Shoes only? Or the evolution of the clones in some way? And I'm just still wondering about this because, I would think that they're talking about evolution of the clones, to be honest. Like, I don't think you would talk about the evolution of the sneakers in that initial trailer. I think they're trying to speak specifically to the clones. Maybe they did intend for the clones to evolve over time. We know that they have said that they're dynamic NFTs, so they can change. And I just still wonder if that's in the cards in the future, where we're going to be able to watch our clones evolve, or we're going to be able to evolve our clones in some way. So maybe they abandon it, or maybe it is really part of the overall strategy, and we could possibly see some evolution down the way. So it's just something that kind of hit me the other day, and I thought it was maybe something good to think about. So, well, okay. All right, well, thank you for joining me for episode number 21, Cryptokick Genesis update. We covered a lot of topics here. There's some speculation, there's some hype. We tried to stay a little bit grounded if we could, using just the facts and everything that are out there, but there's a lot to think about, and I'm excited about all of it, to be honest. Like, I know people are going to be pretty bummed out that when Zap said there's no screens on these, when he's talking about the Cryptokicks. But to be honest, the more I think about it, it's probably better that they're not on there. I think in the future, if they ever can nail that would be great to include. But I would foresee that technology, being able to do that, could be quite a bit of a ways out. Because you got to imagine, like, you got electrical, and you got batteries right by people's feet. And then you got the flexibility, and then you got like durability issues just with sneakers alone, and how like there's always, like an Apple Watch. Yeah, it's on your wrist. But it doesn't really have to flex and go through the same type of durability measures that a shoe would. So it might be a lot to ask right now for the screens, okay? And that could be a ways out. So I like the idea of getting these out now. If it has like a light up component, like the light up swoosh, that's going to be super dynamic and amazing. And then if the augmented reality is super tight, and I mean like 1-to-1, like if you're looking at them through Apple Vision Pro, let's say, and you look at the shoes, there's no lag or delay between the augmented reality overlay and the actual physical shoe, and it just looks 1-to-1. So it looks like it really does have a screen on it. That's going to be just as good. That's better, okay? Because they can do more with that. They can, like they showed in that Cryptokick promotional video that's on, the Artifact YouTube, if you want to see it. You can see the evolution of the shoes, how, there's like different levels to the thing. And like they showed the demon shoes specifically, but that demon shoe was like gaining new features to it. And it was, getting cooler and cooler looking. So augmented reality lets you do that, where the physical screens, it doesn't let you do that. I mean, it would have been really, really eye-catching, definitely, to have the physical screens on there, and all of the, the normal people in the world would have saw that and freaked out, and for sure it would have been a big deal. But I think once they see the augmented reality aspect of it also, and that it has like a skill tree involved and it can evolve over time and get cooler and cooler looking, I think people are going to be probably equally as impressed. And it's really going to come down to like how tight the registration on the augmented reality is with the shoe, if that's what they're doing. Again, they haven't even announced any details yet about what the future of the shoe is. So I'm kind of speculating even to say that it's augmented reality. I would think it's going to, because how else are you going to incorporate the skin vials, right? I mean, we have skin vials. I looked the other day, I was like, oh great, I'm going to go try to swoop a Murakami skin vial. Nope. It's 15 ETH. Still going for a ton of money. And even the undead 6.6 ETH for a skin vial. You know, I mean, 6.6 ETH. Okay, that's over $13,000 for a skin vial. And you know, if you're wondering, but wow, how could that possibly be that expensive? It's probably because the skin vials are going to be able to be used for a lot more than just the shoes. It could be for anything. It would be great if it could be for your space pod. Like if there was a skin vial thing up on the wall and you could just pop a skin vial in and it could give your entire space pod, you know, like an overlay based on the skin vial. Anyway, the skin vials being involved seems, and if there's no screens, that seems to lead to augmented reality. So that's possibly what we could see there. And I mean, what else did we cover? We covered the, you know, that the hype doesn't kill. We covered Aalasady and DreMill on that epic video. Oh man, that was so cool. Still so cool. I can't even believe that even happened. I loved it. And yeah, I think that's, and then the season 1, you know, forge, or actually just the seasonal forges, and what's that mean to you as a Clone X holder? And I think it means a lot, and the number of seasons really matters. And I can't wait to find out how many there's going to be. Are we going to see all the Nike silhouettes and Artifact and an Artifact livery with a dual logo? You know, I mean, the Kashi Murakami Jordan, that feels like that just has to happen no matter what, no matter what, just to see what the community's reaction will be. So yeah, so I think that's about it. And I would really like to thank you again for stopping by and for continuing to watch these videos on my channel. You know, leave a comment or a like or subscribe or something. And that kind of stuff just really is really heartening and helps me like really want to carry on and everything with all of this. So, and I love doing it anyway. It helps me keep up with everything. But the videos are a lot of work. So I definitely appreciate any of your support. And yeah, I think that's about it. So, you know, all I can say at this point is go news yourself.